So, how do you win a queen off of number 2 player in the world in 15 moves? Well, with a little bit of hooking, of course. So we got the English. I used to play this way. I was often happy when my opponent played d5 here. So this is all theory. e5, d4, take, take. Now if you take here, it's a little squirrely because you kind of help black develop. So you just take on c3. You can also actually take this way, but check. This is just kind of equal. The king will hide on c2, and it's fine, but it's hard to play for a win there. So b takes c3 is more common. Queen takes f6. d4. So this queen is a little bit misplaced. Black didn't want to suffer doubled pawns himself. e5 immediately, knight f3 challenging the pawn, knight c6, bishop g5 hitting the queen, d5. So the knight is going to reroute to this square. So gotta notice what the good squares for the knights are. So it might look correct to play knight e7 or knight a5, but since you actually want to head for this square on c5, the right way is to go knight b8, because then you can either go knight a6 to c5 or knight d7 to c5. And this c5 outpost is quite good. So of course knight b8 and h4. So here black probably should have interjected this move h6. With the idea of putting the question to this bishop. And if white plays h5 here, then the queen can maybe come all the way to the queen side, either to b6 or a6. But he played knight d7 right away, defending this pawn. Now after bishop d3, he almost probably has to play the move queen to h5. After which he's going to try to play a move like f6 and then get his queen back to f7. But it's already looking a little ugly. Notice that if he plays a move like queen a6 now, well, that's just bad news. Because the queen is kind of misplaced. And this knight is actually not great. And white can simply castle. After h6, bishop d2. Bishop c5, queen e2. Castle, rook fe1. Turns out that this queen is not really in great shape. And this knight is prohibited from coming to its natural square. So what happened instead? Well, black tried this move e4. A little bit of a tactic. So he wasn't intending on winning a piece here, but white found a very accurate strike here. So it seems in this position, white has, a natural move queen e2, right? To try to pin this and to win this pawn. But now black can play knight to c5, and now black is doing quite fine. Because he's hitting this bishop, he's defending his pawn, he's getting ready to play bishop f5, and this pawn is actually quite good. This is basically exactly what black wants. So what can white do here? What can white do here? So for you guys who have not seen the game, white actually only has one move here that keeps the advantage, but it's actually quite a nice move. So do you guys see it? What's up, buddy? Anyone see it? It's cute. So the move is to play h5. I mean, it looks obvious enough. The point is, okay, well, I'm attacking your queen. And your queen, if it moves off of this pawn, I'll just take it. So, you know, if you play a move like queen b6 or something, I'll just take it. So in all probability, black should have played the move queen to a6 with the idea that if bishop takes e4, he can take on c4. And of course, black didn't really want to give up this pawn on e4 for this pawn on c4. Because he's behind in development severely. And you know, he got rid of one of white's weaknesses in a way. But it's probably the least of the evils. Here white would play something like queen c2. And then the idea is to play knight d2 to evict the queen from this diagonal, and then to castle. And white's definitely pleasantly ahead. But black figured, okay, well, I don't have to let go of this pawn, I can still keep it. Why not queen f5? And dear viewers, tell me why queen f5 was not the best move. It's very, very subtle. Very subtle. And Grischuk played this game very expertly. But what can white do here? So it looks bad. This knight's being attacked, this bishop's being attacked. If the knight moves, say knight d4, then the bishop on g5 hangs. So this knight's defending this bishop. If we move this bishop, the knight hangs. If we move queen e2, again, knight c5 is really strong. So what do we do here? What do we do here? Again, only one move works, but it's very good. So if we notice what happened after queen f5, it gives us a clue. Okay, the queen can't go here, 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 can't go here. So it really only has one square it can go to. The only square it can go to is g4. So the unorthodox, yet very correct, rook to h4 basically wins the game. Because we have a dual threat now. We're threatening bishop takes e4, which wins the queen. But we also have this secondary threat, rook to f4, which also wins the queen. So for example, after pawn takes bishop, rook f4. And now look, the queen has exactly 0 squares. Can't go here, 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 can't go here. It is trapped. So nothing better than to take the rook or knight, oops, or to knight c5 or something, but yeah, it's just over. So after rook h4, he probably should have played a move like knight c5 with the idea that after bishop takes e4, so now the queen is not trapped anymore. But the idea here is we can simply take, because after take we can play queen e2 and win a pawn and our position is dominating, because our rook is coming into the game. So this is crushing. So for example, if like bishop d7 just to try to get his pieces out to castle, I'm saying nope, you're not going to castle because I played check. Bishop covers d8, you can't really block because I'm covering all the squares. I mean, this is just hopeless. But this was relatively best because it's better losing your queen. So he took on d3 and played knight c5, and now it's just completely over. But I actually really liked Grischuk's technique in converting here. It was very simple. It was very simple. This is actually what I want to call attention to. Not so much this cute idea, but like, you know, in this position, after rook takes, bishop takes, okay, so what's the material? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So material, pawns are even, but we have a queen for a rook and a bishop. So it's actually not that not that big of a difference. It's only a 1 point difference, right? And this pawn looks actually quite strong. This knight looks good. So it seems like, you know, maybe this is actually not so clear. But black has a couple of issues. One is he can't really castle quickly. He'll probably have to castle on the opposite side. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not a bad thing, but it's just his king is a couple of moves away from getting into the game. And yeah, his pieces just don't coordinate that well yet. So let's see how white takes advantage. Very instructive, I think. Okay, so he plays knight d4 first, threat, making the bishop a little bit more comfortable and improving the position of his knight slightly. Now he has ideas of maybe exchanging this knight for this knight, maybe playing knight b5, hitting this square. So he has different ideas, but it definitely has more of a future on d4 than on f3. So okay, black plays bishop d7 to stop knight b5 ideas. Okay, so now white is a little bit worried about his king being on this open file. So he plays king to f1. So now what's the threat? Well, we have actually quite a big threat. The threat is queen to e1 check. And this king, again, is shish kebabbed by the queen and bishop. And we actually win a piece here. So for example, if black does something like h6,
check,
queen e1 check, forces black to block somehow on e6, and we win a piece. Because again, if bishop e7, queen takes his mate. So king f1 looks unassuming, but it actually has a very nasty threat of queen e1 check. And so after king f1, black had to play something to guard against that, and so played bishop to d6. The idea is that he's giving his king f8. So now if queen e1 check, king f8. Which is probably what white should have done, but he saw the opportunity now to remove this knight. Now this pawn only has one defender, so he just plays knight to b3. And his idea is he just wants to remove this pesky pawn from the game. Very logical. So f6, chase the bishop. He moves the bishop with a gain of time. So he doesn't really lose any time by moving the bishop back. Black defends the knight. And white takes. So he should actually probably take with the bishop, but again, it's scary to be facing two bishops on a board, unopposed, no matter what the situation. So he took with the knight, which is more human. But you know, if he takes with the bishop, this position actually does favor knights because of how locked up it is. And also, black's pawns are all pretty weak. And the bishops don't really have any targets, if you notice. Like, you know, they can get on good squares, but they don't really fire at anything. But he took with the knight, which is reasonable. Then he took on d3. Okay, so he got rid of the pawn. Okay, but his task isn't over yet, because again, the pawn he's ahead is this kind of double pawn. And this pawn isn't really doing much. It's well blockaded. So it's still, you know, not trivial to make progress. Black castles, get his king safe finally. And now simple queen d2, offering to trade these guys, and then trying to attack a target on d6. Bishop e8 attacking this guy. Simply move it to defend it. Now g5, so black plays this, so bishop f4 is impossible. But he's creating some weaknesses around his king now. So now white has to find a new plan. So now, okay, what should white play here? What should white play here? This is an exercise in continuing initiative and spotting weaknesses. So what should white play, guys? No, it does not look good for black. Queens are good. But how should white continue? This is really important. This is really important. This is kind of why I wanted to show this game. So, you know, finding rook h4 and rook f4 was a very grandmasterly thing. But this type of position is something that you guys will see a lot. You know, where you're just comfortably ahead, but how do you really progress? And you have to really identify and zero in on the targets. So what's the target here? Well, if you guys were smart, you would realize the target is actually this guy. And so the simplest way to attack this guy is to just maneuver the queen to a3. So queen b2 to queen a3. And there's actually nothing that black can do to stop that. And once we win this pawn, we have this massive 3 versus 1 majority, and we're just going to promote a pawn. So moves like rook b1 don't really accomplish anything, because if we notice, this square, this square, this square are covered, and black can easily cover this square with bishop d7 to bishop c8. Similarly, if white plays rook to e1, notice that this square and this square are covered, and black can easily cover this square with bishop to d7. So putting a rook on an open file here seems logical, but it actually doesn't really accomplish anything. And what we really want to do is simply remove this pawn from the game, at which point we can make further progress. Because at this point, we can't really make much progress because all our pawns are kind of blocked. We can't really push these pawns since they're met by these pawns. This pawn and this pawn are offset. We can't really bring too much force to attack this guy. Black can always defend along the 6th rank if need be, or 7th rank if need be. But we can target c5. So all of our attention should be on this guy. Look, he even has a target. See? I made a target. I'm so good at drawing. I'm so good. I'm so good. Look. Look. It's a target. Look, I'll even make it bigger. See it? See it? Look at that target. Target practice. There's the crosshairs. Those are some big ass crosshairs. This is a serious weapon right here. That's the target, guys. Alright. So, of course, Grischuk played queen b2 and queen a3, just like I said. Bishop takes c5. Bishop h2 was threatening some sort of shenanigan. I'm not really exactly sure what. I guess he was hoping for this. Okay, just cute side note. What should black play here? What should black play here, guys? For a cute side note. Come on, guys. Who wants the cute side note? Who wants the cute side note? Yeah. So if white were hasty, and this was a super lightning game where white only had 5/10 of a second to move, you know, g3 does look inviting. The threat is simply king g2 and king takes h2. But
checkmate.
The nice lady has a word for that. Let's hear the nice lady again. Let's hear the nice lady one more time.
Checkmate.
Yeah, so the nice lady says checkmate. Okay, let's hear it one more time.
Checkmate.
Okay. So you can't be too hasty. So g3 would not be the best move in the world. Although, I could definitely see many people playing this in a blitz game. Okay, so he didn't play g3 because he is 2792. So he played rook e1. Just offering exchange because it makes things simpler. And also notice that by removing this rook from the game, he either says, okay, this rook is going to be dumb, or I'm going to win this pawn too. So after bishop f5, he took, and then played bishop e3 just to be safe, because again, what happens if queen takes a7, guys? Cute side note number 2. Cute side note number 2, guys. And this one is actually even more sinister. So what happens on the very natural queen takes a7? What happens? Well, let's have the nice lady tell us. Let's have the nice lady tell us.
Checkmate.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So Aronian was, I mean, let's give him a round of applause for setting traps. So he set some traps. Some traps and or zaps. Okay, but notice this pawn isn't going anywhere. This pawn isn't going anywhere. So so there's no need to hurry. And this is actually still a threat. So for example, if we play a move like this,
Checkmate.
still a threat. So we have to stop it, but we can just block the rook's access to the e-file. So we play bishop e3, king f7. Okay, now this pawn is free, but no rush. So king e2 first to stop bishop d3. Now this pawn is free. No rush. Play king d2 first to defend c3. And this pawn is still free. So we take it. Finally, we have taken it. And now really there's nothing that black can do to stop a4, whoops. Pawns don't move like that. But they do move like this. a5, a6, a7, and a8 equals knight. Knight takes c7, knight takes c8, knight takes f6, knight takes g4, knight takes c5, knight takes f7, knight takes g5, knight takes h7. Look at that. Look at that. Knight's tour taking every one of pieces. So that's what white is threatening, and black can't stop it. So we'll just play a few more moves. King g6, a4, king b6, a5, c6, take, why not? Rook c8, f3, bishop f5, g4, b6, queen e7, threatening the bishop. Bishop takes c4, and bishop d4. And here, Aronian finally laid down his arms, because he's not in good shape. So, that was that game.